There are people who don't just enjoy solitude occasionally. They actively prefer it in almost every situation. Group outings feel optional. Social gatherings feel draining. Even celebrations are more appealing when experienced quietly. And while the world often labels this as antisocial, shy, or emotionally distant, the psychology behind chronic preference for solitude is far more layered. First, it's important to separate loneliness from aloneness. Loneliness is distressing. It feels like exclusion, but choosing to be alone is different. It is controlled distance. For some individuals, solitude is not a lack of connection. It's the environment where they feel most regulated. Many people who prefer to be alone have highly sensitive nervous systems. Social interaction, even positive interaction, requires processing, facial expressions, tone shifts, unspoken expectations, subtle judgments. For someone with heightened social awareness, this constant monitoring can be exhausting. Being alone reduces cognitive load. It allows the brain to slow down and recalibrate. There is also a strong autonomy drive at play. Some individuals experience social environments as subtle negotiations, where compromise, adaptation, and performance are constantly required. When alone, they don't have to adjust. They don't have to explain preferences, soften opinions, or match someone else's energy. Solitude becomes psychological freedom. This preference can also reflect deep internal orientation. Externally oriented people gain energy from interaction. Internally oriented people gain energy from reflection. Those who prefer to be alone often have rich internal worlds. Their thoughts, projects, fantasies, and private goals are stimulating enough that social activity feels secondary. They don't avoid people because they dislike them. They simply find greater fulfillment in inward exploration. However, this pattern can develop for different reasons. For some, it is temperament. For others, it is protection. If past relationships were unpredictable, critical, or overwhelming, solitude can become a safe baseline. When you are alone, there is no rejection, no misunderstanding, no emotional volatility. Control feels intact. Over time, repeated preference for being alone can strengthen independence. These individuals often become self-reliant problem solvers. They are comfortable making decisions without consensus. They may appear emotionally steady because they are used to regulating themselves without external reassurance. But there is a subtle risk. If solitude becomes the only coping strategy, social muscles can weaken. Communication requires practice. Vulnerability requires exposure. When someone avoids every situation that demands emotional exchange, they may protect their peace, but also limit potential growth. Not all discomfort is harmful. Some discomfort is developmental. Interestingly, people who prefer to be alone often observe social dynamics with remarkable clarity. When you are not fully immersed in group emotion, you see patterns others miss. You notice power shifts, insecurity masked as humor, tension disguised as friendliness. Distance sharpens perception. The key psychological question is not whether someone prefers to be alone. It's why. Is it nourishment or avoidance? Restoration or retreat? Autonomy or fear? Preferring solitude does not mean lacking social skill, empathy, or depth. In many cases, it reflects strong internal grounding. These individuals do not need constant affirmation to feel stable. They do not chase noise to avoid silence. They are comfortable in their own presence. And in a world that equates constant connectivity with value, that kind of self-sufficiency can look unusual. But sometimes the quietest person in the room isn't disconnected. They're simply complete enough not to need the room at all.